The purpose of this tutorial video is to provide a walkthrough on how to create an organization board record for applicants seeking to obtain or maintain certification as a community development financial institution. To receive the full benefit of this video should be used in conjunction with the CDFI certification guidance and application resources available on the CDFI Fund's website at www.cdfifund.gov/CDFI-CERT under Step 2, Apply. To be a certified CDFI, an entity must demonstrate that it has accountability to residents of its investment area and/or individuals of its targeted population through representation on its governing board and/or advisory board. An applicant or certified CDFI can create up to 2 board records to demonstrate accountability to its proposed CDFI certification markets. CDFI certification market records are used to demonstrate compliance for 1. Entities seeking to obtain or maintain CDFI certification. 2. Entities seeking to obtain or maintain the Native American CDFI designation. And 3. Entities relevant to the CDFI certification collective review. Note: entities relevant to the collective review that are seeking to obtain or maintain their own CDFI certification and are also seeking to obtain or maintain the Native American CDFI designation will need to create a CDFI certification market record for its own CDFI certification target market, along with a separate market record to represent its Native American communities. First, I will demonstrate how to create a new board record, which sets up the accountability purpose and identifies the number of board members. Next, we will review how to enter accountability information for each member of your board into AMIS. Finally, we will walk through how to submit your board record in AMIS. To create a new board record, navigate to the applicant's organization detail page. Click on the New Org Board at the top right of the screen. If your AMIS organization profile screen is minimized, click on the upside-down triangle at the upper right of the screen and select New Org Board from the drop-down list to launch the board record. This takes us to the New Org Board pop-up window, where we will begin to complete all the required fields. Please note that the required fields are marked with a red asterisk. The first required field in the New Org Board pop-up window is the board record name, where you will enter the name of the board. Even if your board or boards do not officially have a name, consider using a board name that makes sense. For example, create a board name that includes the name or abbreviated name of the organization, the type of board, governing or advisory, and the calendar year of submission. Next will be the purpose field. The purpose field is a pick list format that includes a list of predefined options. Different questions will be asked if the purpose relates to the CDFI certification collective review process. For this part of the demo, we will select CDFI certification, own certification from the list of options, and we'll click Next. The next screen identifies how accountability to the proposed CDFI certification market will be demonstrated. Select the method of accountability from the list provided. For this board, we will select Governing Board and Advisory Board. Note: if using the Governing Board and Advisory Board method of accountability, a separate board record must be created for each of the relevant board types. This next window takes us to the board type and total number of board member fields. We will select an advisory board from the pick list option. Next, enter the total number of board members. Total number of board members means all members, including board members that are also staff members for the entity served by the board. Then click Next. The next screen shows a warning noting that if a no response is entered for any of the next series of questions, the entity will be ineligible to create the board. For this demo, we will answer yes to all the related questions. Please see the guidance and application resources available on the CDFI Fund's website for more detailed information on responding to the advisory board related questions. Please note that there is a drag and drop / upload feature at the end of the page for applicants to attach any relevant documentation. Uploaded documents will not show on this screen once the board record is complete, but they will be shown in the Notes and Attachments section of the applicable board record related tab. Once all the relevant questions have been answered, click Next to complete creating the board. A new advisory board record will be created and visible on your organization's related tab. As mentioned earlier in the demo, because the method of accountability selected was governing and advisory boards, we need to create both a governing and an advisory board. It is important to note that the system will not prevent you from submitting your board record if only one board is created, and your application will be declined if both boards are needed but not presented for accountability. Since we already created the advisory board, we will now create a governing board, and we'll follow the same process as before. So we will click on New Org Board in the top right of the screen to launch the board record. This pop-up window has our required fields noted with the asterisks. And again, you will enter the name of the board, and we encourage that even if your board does not officially have a name, consider using a board name that makes sense. Next will be the purpose field. Select CDFI certification, own certification. The next screen identifies how accountability to the proposed CDFI certification market will be demonstrated. Select the method of accountability from the list provided. For this board, we will select Governing Board and Advisory Board. For the board type field, we will select Governing Board and enter the total number of board members. As a note, per the CDFI certification guidance, the number of board members cannot be less than 3. If the number of board members being presented is less than 3, you will not be able to create the governing board record. So actually, we will enter 4 board members and select Next to complete setting up the board record. Once complete, a new board record will be created and visible on your organization's Related tab. Find it in the organization boards right here. After completing the board record, the next step is to create the individual board member record. This step allows you to present all of the board members and identify the target market accountable members. Once the necessary board record or records are created, the next step is to add board members to the board records. Board member records should be created separately and individually for each board member on the relevant board as of a point in time no more than 45 days prior to when the CDFI certification application is submitted. Do not create board member records for past or intended future members of the board. Only create board member records for the individuals that are on the board as of the relevant point in time. This includes staff members of the entity the board serves. To create a new board member record, click on the Related tab of the organization's detail page and scroll down the page to the Organization Boards section. Here you can locate and launch the previously created board record. Click on the New Org Board Member button at the top of the board record page to launch the new board record and enter the name of an individual who sits on the board being presented as a means of accountability. You will notice that the board record name is pre-populated. Next, select the appropriate response to identify whether the board member being listed or any covered member of their family is an employee of whatever entity's board information is being presented or any affiliate of that entity. Note: covered family members include spouses, children, including step, in-law, and adopted children, or other family members of the board member's household, such as siblings, including step, half, and in-law siblings, parents, including step and in-law parents, and grandparents related by blood or adoption. Note: answering yes to any of the questions indicates that there is a conflict of financial interest. Board records will still be created for board members with conflict of interest. However, those board members cannot be presented to demonstrate accountability for the applicant's proposed CDFI certification markets. For this demo, we will select No. Next, select the appropriate response to identify whether the board member being listed or any covered member of their family, individually or in combination with each other, owns or controls more than 25% or more of the applicant or any of its affiliates. Note: if yes, no further information on this board member is required, as this board member is considered to have a financial interest that makes them ineligible to be presented as accountable. Next, select the appropriate response to identify whether the board member being listed, their employer, or any covered member of their family have an active financial product from whatever entity's board information is being presented. If No is selected, no other responses are required. For this question, we will select Yes. Next, select the appropriate response to identify whether the applicant has policies requiring such board members to recuse themselves from any decision that may affect, directly or indirectly, their financial product or relationship. If no, no further information on this board member is required, as this board member is considered to have a financial interest that makes them ineligible to be presented as accountable. For this demo, we will select Yes and click Next to complete the board member record. The board members that were added to the organization board record should display under the Related tab of the organization board record. The third step in the board record process is to make the record ready and available for the CDFI Fund staff to review it in connection with the application or a board amendment form. Now that the board record is completed and all the relevant board members have been added, the final step in the board creation process is to change the board record status. For this video, a board record was completed in advance. We will use that board record to demo this section. As a note, a board record will start in an in-progress status and will stay in that status until the applicant moves it to the record complete status. A board record will be moved by the applicant to the record complete/ready for submission status when all board member, and accountable board member information for that board is complete and accurate. A board record must be in the record complete, ready for submission status for it to be linked to the relevant CDFI certification application. The board record can be moved back and forth between in progress and record complete/ready for submission as needed. A board linked to a CDFI certification application will be put into the proposed status automatically once the relevant application has been submitted. To change the board status, click on the upside-down triangle at the right of the page and select Change Board Status. Or you can see here, this button is visible for me. On the Change Board Status pop-up window, select the drop-down pick list under New Organization Board Status and select Record Complete/Ready for Submission. Click Next to complete the board status change. A reminder that the board record status can be reverted to in progress as necessary. The board will now be available to be linked to your CDFI certification application. A board linked to a CDFI certification application will be put into the proposed status automatically once the relevant application has been submitted. If a change needs to be made to the board record, you will need to go back to the Change Board Status option and change the status back to in progress. Remember to return the board status to Record Complete/Ready for Submission, like this, once all changes have been made. This completes the demo on how to create organization board and board member records in AMIS for an entity applying on its own for the CDFI certification application.